Hi, this is Alex from devstories.eu. Pulumi, Infrastructure as Code, Episode 6 of 10. You deploy your infrastructure code, the syntax is flawless, and it immediately fails because a storage bucket name is already taken. Or worse, you update a database instance and your tool deletes the old one before creating the new one, causing a hard outage. You can solve both problems by understanding how your infrastructure tool handles identity. That is exactly what we are covering today. The building blocks, Pulumi resources. In Pulumi, a resource is an object that represents a piece of infrastructure. There are two primary types you will work with. The first is a custom resource. This maps directly to a physical object managed by a cloud provider. When you declare a custom resource, Pulumi makes an API call to Amazon, Azure, or Google Cloud to create that exact object, like a virtual machine or a load balancer. The second type is a component resource. A component resource does not map to a single piece of cloud infrastructure. Instead, it is a logical container for other resources. You use component resources to build higher-level abstractions. For example, you might create a single component resource called Secure Web Server that internally provisions a virtual machine, a security group, and an IP address. The component resource itself just groups them together in your state file, making your code cleaner and easier to manage. Whether you're defining a custom resource or a component resource, every single one requires a name. This brings up a common source of frustration. People type a name into their code, deploy it, and then check their cloud console only to find their resource has a random string of characters attached to the end of its name. This is not a bug. It is a core feature of how Pulumi works, and you need to understand the difference between a logical name and a physical name. The logical name is the name you type into your code as an argument. Pulumi uses this logical name to track the resource inside its state file. It's how Pulumi knows that the database in your code today is the exact same database you deployed yesterday. The physical name is what the cloud provider actually calls the resource in its own system. By default, Pulumi takes your logical name, adds a random suffix, and uses that combined string as the physical name. This is called auto-naming. Here's the key insight. Auto-naming prevents global naming collisions and enables zero downtime replacements. Think about provisioning multiple identical storage buckets in a loop using Azure. Azure requires storage account names to be globally unique across all customers. If you try to force a strict physical name, the second bucket in your loop will fail because the name is taken, or worse, someone else in the world might already own it. With auto-naming, you can just use a logical name like archive bucket inside your loop. Pulumi will track each iteration logically while ensuring every bucket gets a mathematically unique physical name in Azure. Auto-naming also protects your system uptime. If you make a change that forces a resource to be replaced, Pulumi creates the new resource first, verifies it works, and only then deletes the old one. If you override auto-naming and force a strict physical name, the cloud provider will not let two resources share the same name at the same time. Pulumi would be forced to delete your old resource first, causing downtime while the new one provisions. If you want to help keep the show going, you can search for devstories.eu on Patreon. Keep your physical names flexible. Let the tool manage the random suffixes, because while your state file requires a logical name to maintain order, your production environment relies on physical flexibility to stay online. Thanks for listening. Take care, everyone.